Now let's talk about getting a range of numbers in CoffeeScript, and then we'll talk about for loops shortly after because they'll connect. So if we want to get some numbers, I'll just call this nums equals, and we want to get a range of them, we can sort of use that slicing thing that we saw earlier. And let's say we want to get 1 to 10, so 1 dot dot 10 like this. Save it, and we should be able to log nums. So I forgot to console.log nums. This should give us an array from 1 to 10. Instead of in JavaScript, you'd have to create a for loop and go through that process to create the list of 1 to 10. Same with TypeScript. But this, nope, it has a kind of a built-in range function like we're seeing here. Let's run it. And we get the array from 1 to 10. There's no surprises, no gimmicks. It's inclusive of your first and last number. Beautiful. Let's say we want to get 1 to 100. Same thing. It's that easy. Save it. Run it. Boom, we get 1 to 100. Now we can use this to loop through also if we wanted to do it that way for some reason. I don't think we ideally would, because I just showed we can do it that way and print it. But let's say, for example, we could say for num in, and we'll say 1 to 100. And this is just another way to do it. Console.log num. This is the long way. And what it's going to do here, instead of printing out the list like we're seeing here, it's going to print out each number one at a time. So this isn't really the long way, it's a different way to do it. So we're going to be logging each number down the page instead of as one long list. So this is how we can loop through kind of a range like this. So let's run it. You'll see here it printed out each number on its own individual line from 1 to hopefully 100. Yep, 100. Now let's flip this on its head, this number list like this, and we're going to just find another way that we can use this for loop. Similar idea, we're just changing up where stuff is. So let's delete that, and we're going to put the function before the statement. So we could say console.log num for num in 1 to 100 like this, and this will also work in CoffeeScript. This is actually how CoffeeScript prefers to do its loops. I don't know if I like this. I think it's more of a list comprehension style. Some people love it, some people hate it. You know, just depends on your preference. But we run it, and we still get the same deal. We just are saying what we're going to do before we do it. I think it's declarative in that way. I kind of like that. So now let's get our pets array back. So pets equals dog, cat, bird, fish, hamster. This time we're going to add hamster to the mix. I think it deserves to be in there, don't you? And this time we're going to log out our pets. We're going to use a for loop, or it's like a for comprehension, to log out our pets. I tried it the other way. It didn't seem to work, so I think we need to use the comprehension here. So we can say console.log pets, pet, we'll just say pet, for pet in pets. So for each pet in pets, we're going to log out the pet. Let's do it. Nice, and we get each on its own line, which we should. So for each of these, we're going to log it out. Just kind of a way to flip the for loop on its head. In a way, this is more readable, but I think if you do nested for loops, it might get more confusing. So, you know, kind of something to think about there when you're doing the trade-offs. Now let's start combining some of the topics we talked about. So anything's an expression in CoffeeScript, like we said. So let's make a variable called allPets, and we're just going to loop through these pets and return them to this allPets variable. So we're going to get the same array of pets, but now stored in allPets. And to do that, we're going to use a for loop. Even for loops return values in CoffeeScript, which I think is really cool. So we want to use brackets here, curly brackets, if we want this for loop to return something. And we're going to say pet for pet in pets. So for each pet in pets, we want to return the pet to this all pets array. And if I go out here and whoops, it's going to let me. What in the world? There we go. So now we want to console.log all pets like this. Save it. Let's run it. And you're going to see we get our array back out. So even for loops in CoffeeScript return values. So in a way, this for loop can take the place of your mapping. Sometimes you're filtering and you're reducing. And I'll show you how this works with filter now.